hard hitting. Aliens, ghosts, you believe in them?
Yeah, for sure. Aliens, for sure.
Ghosts or?
I don't know. I'm into happy ghosts.
Happy ghosts?
I don't like to think about bad ghosts.
I know.
Like, you know what I mean?
That's Travis Kelce, okay? He's into happy ghosts. I mean, whatever, Travis.
As opposed to?
He's a very positive guy over here. I guess he doesn't like Beetlejuice and things like that.
Yeah.
I mean, where do you stand on the ghost alien conversation?
I don't think I've ever had it.
No?
No.
No, so it's that beneath you? You're like, you're an idiot?
It was beneath me.
I
It just hasn't. I haven't been around.
You don't even believe ghosts are real?
I don't.
No?
No. Do you?
I don't think it's like crazy. So I live in a house that's almost 300 years old.
Okay.
And they've said that English Revolutionary War soldiers stayed in our house because the person that owned my house, of course,
This is a fairly new acquisition.
And fairly, I just moved in about 6 weeks ago. But yeah, the history of the house is that this original owner housed some revolutionary soldiers, some redcoats.
Yeah.
Of course, because he didn't want to get the wrath of from England and have his house burned down. But
have you seen any evidence?
No, I haven't. I'm waiting for it. I figure it's going to happen one of these early mornings where I'm going to say whoa, something just flashed in front of me with a musket.
Yeah.
And saying charge.
Let me know. That could be a whole podcast if you actually see something.
Aliens?
Aliens? No way.
I think I am. You're crazy. You haven't seen some of this stuff lately with the Navy pilots talking about how they've been seeing these unidentified objects?
No.
They've actually showed some of it on news channels, where they're the real footage from the cockpit. So I got to think something's out there, okay? I'm an alien and ghost believer.
Has it been happening in the last month? Is that what you're talking about?
No, it has happened over, I think, the last few years, but they released this footage, and I don't even know why.
Okay.
I don't even know that. So here, one other thing before we get into football talk, okay?
Yeah.
Learn something this week, all right? I want to know if you know it, because I'm dumb, and we know that. I thought, we'll play it by ear. I've been said play it by year for forever.
Really?
Oh, forever. I had no idea. I was saying play it by year until last year.
We're just going to go year to year.
Yeah, I thought that makes sense. Year to year, I get it. Okay, yeah, it makes sense, that one. So, I'm always what is the other one? Smoking mirrors?
Yeah.
Instead of smoke and mirrors, I always said smoking mirrors. Yeah, right. Wow. Very intelligent of me. Now, the little snake that's up here that you might find in your yard.
Yes. Hate it.
What's it called?
Gardener. Or garter. Garter. It's not gardener. It's not gardening. It's a garter snake.
I was gardener snake forever.
Like he's fixing
I like a gardener. You find him in the gardener. I just that makes sense. He's in the garden and he's a snake. It's a gardener snake.
That one's pretty easy to understand.
Well, but it's a garter snake. Garter.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah,
I learned that literally as I saw a garter snake in my yard the other day. I was like, is there a gardener snake?
I see them too, and let me know. When I'm mowing my yard and I see a garter snake, nightmares for weeks. I saw 3 last time I mowed the yard.
Why?
And
they're harmless.
Completely freaked me out.
Oh.
I told my wife I can't mow the yard anymore.
What?
No more. Yeah. Done. Done for the summer.
For seeing a snake while you're on your...
Seeing 3.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah. The little, tiny black and yellow one.
Yeah, right. That's a garter snake. Right. I try to pick them up by the tail.
Really?
Yeah.
You're a snake picker-upper.
Oh, I'm an animal lover. So
I see one and it's over.
I go with it there. Okay. All right. So we're back.
Snakes,
Chris Simms Unbuttoned podcast. Good to have you back, though, nonetheless. Paulie Burmeister here. Simms here. Paul's coming off the Tour de France.
There you go.
So he's back in America. You adjusted to time here
No.
and everything? No, not yet?
No. Falling asleep at 7, waking up at 4.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
So you're totally a 75-year-old man right now is what you're telling me.
Or 48.
Yeah, okay, or 48.
Yeah.
Going on 75.
Yeah.
All right, cool. We got training camp. We got enough stuff to talk about, certainly. We got into our aliens and ghosts.
Snakes.
Well, I'm disappointed with your alien take. I mean,
Really?
I figured you'd think there's aliens.
Non-believer.
Non-believer in either one. I mean, John behind the camera, aliens, ghosts, believer, good. Thought
I need to see it to believe it.
It's one of the few sane things that guy's ever said in his life, so glad to have that here. All right, you want to get into it? Let's do it.
Football being it?
Yeah, football being it. That's why they pay me.
Yeah.
All right, so I think the first thing is, hey, there's some news around football, of course. Here's one thing that I do want to talk about a little bit, just off the cuff. It's not even on our little rundown here. The Trent Williams situation with the Washington Redskins. Very interesting. He feels, unfairly treated because they misdiagnosed the situation. I'm getting the word from some people I trust around the NFL that, hey, a lot of people right now going, oh, they're trying to trade Trent Williams. I was told the Redskins are sitting tight right now. They're going to try to salvage this situation. So I don't think we're going to see a trade happen anytime in the near future.
You think it's salvageable?
I don't know if it is salvageable, and I'd like to do a little bit more digging. Now, the thing I'll bring up that just is curious to me, I know Donald Penn, who they just signed at left tackle there in Washington. I played with him in Tampa Bay. I had been told he was talking to teams, and he wants to start at left tackle. He doesn't want to sign with a team and be a backup. So to me, that's one little context clue. And we have found out here in the last day or two that he did talk to Trent Williams leading up to him signing with the Redskins. So if you just want to read between the lines or read the tea leaves of football, that's just a little inkling to me that Trent Williams probably told Donald Penn, I ain't coming back.
Right.
And Donald Penn said, okay, that sounds good to me. I'll sign the dotted line now. So it's just interesting to see where that goes. If I am the Redskins, though, what is the rush? There's no rush. He's a Hall of Fame left tackle.
Isn't there a little bit of rush? I mean, they're in camp.
Yeah, they're in camp. I know. Yes, but it's still, I'm going to, for a Hall of Fame franchise left tackle, I'm going to give a little time to see if we can maybe smooth it over with money and some conversations and admitting our mistakes or whatever it is that needs to be done. But I thought that was just worth bringing up nonetheless because I got some pretty good info there. And like I said, Trent Williams is in the combo for the best tackle in football.
And it's so unprecedented. I mean, we're going to get to the Cowboys thing, and there's different names, and there's a good story there, but it's about money and the contract and the years. This one with the not trusting the medical staff, like going down this road, I mean, have we been down this road before with such a star player?
I don't know if we really have.
I don't think so either.
This is a rare one. Yeah, this is very rare. I know. I mean, so yeah, we'll see where it goes. He's certainly not happy. And yeah, I don't know. And, that's the other thing I've realized, because I've made a lot of calls about this topic over the last 3 days. I can't get to the bottom of the story about what they did to him to misdiagnose it. I have not, even in some of my most trusted sources in football who know every freaking story in the world always, they are still not sure what it is exactly that set this thing off. So I'm interested to hear that when that day finally comes.
But you bring it up because the known you have is that the Redskins do not want to get.
They're not engaging in trade talks right now.
Okay.
Yep, and I got that from a pretty damn good source. Yep.
Cowboys stay in the same division.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cowboys, Super Bowl window, contract issues. I mean, we know where they're at right now. I mean, Zeke, Dak Prescott, Amari Cooper, they're all up, right? I mean, they got other guys on the radar that they got to worry about paying in the near future, too. Byron Jones, top 5 corner in football. He's going to go and want to be paid soon. Jalen Smith, middle linebacker, who should have been a top 5 pick and had that horrible knee injury. Now has played great the last 2 years. He's going to want to get paid here soon. They got money invested into other big-time players. It's a tribute, first of all, or I would just want to say good job to the Jones family. It shows that they've done a great job evaluating talent, collecting talent through the draft and free agency. Got a lot of studs, but they got issues on their hands. These are good problems to have. These are rich people problems to have as far as the NFL wealth is concerned.
But they are problems.
They're problems.
Yeah. The big three, I mean, with Amari, with Dak, with Zeke. Yeah. Zeke leading the way because he's not in camp.
Yeah.
But that's driving it. You bring up the other names, but those three, and I think with the one Zeke, it's the reason it's a topic right now.
Yeah.
Stephen Jones forced to talk about it a lot.
Right.
I want to read something that he said about the ongoing contract negotiations. He said, "We can't push the issue unless we want to be a market setter, and we're damn sure not going to be a market setter because of all the things that can go with being a Dallas Cowboy." And is there another page to this quote?
That was it. Yep, I think that was it. So I get what he's saying. I understand it. They don't want to be the market setter. Nobody really wants to be the market setter, to be that guy like, oh, we paid our guy this much more than the guy that used to be the highest paid guy. And, they don't want to be held hostage there to have to spend extra money for that.
Hey, who do you think they're talking to there? Because they're probably going to have to set the market with Zeke. He's earned that right. So are they talking to Dak and Amari there?
I think so. I mean, that's where I was exactly where I was going to go. I'm glad you brought that up because, hey, listen, I understand it. You don't want to be the market setter. And you might be able to get away with that with Dak Prescott. Right. I would figure Dak Prescott gets a good contract, probably one-ups a Carson Wentz, somewhere in that kind of range. Not going to get Russell Wilson or Aaron Rodgers. Doesn't deserve that at this point anyways, but I think you could justify that type of contract. And 3 years from now, it's going to look like, oh, that's a damn good deal for the team too.
Right.
But it'll make Dak Prescott happy. So, okay, so there's that aspect. Okay, now Amari Cooper, hey, he's making $14 million a year this year. He's already been he was a top 5 pick in the NFL draft, so he's got top 5 money too. So that's a lot more money than Dak Prescott to begin with. And hey, Amari Cooper had some hiccups in his play the last 2 years. I mean, it was underwhelming at the start of the year last year with the Raiders, and the year before that was very underwhelming too. So he's kind of getting, his mojo back as far as being that marquee guy at receiver.
Yeah.
Now, when you want to talk, and I think they can get away with not paying him market value
Absolutely.
either.
To me, in that conversation, he is not just third; he's a distant third.
He's third. Exactly right. I mean, if we had to rank him, if we had to rank him, right? This is where I think it's almost 2 different rankings. And we talked about the 10-year outlook. I'm putting Dak Prescott 1. If we're talking
ahead
about
of Zeke,
I am. But if we're talking about right now, the next 2 to 3 years, I'm putting Zeke 1. Yeah, I think Dak Prescott's the quarterback in the NFL. They play forever now. So
don't you have to deal in like 2-3 year increments? I mean,
pretty much. Yeah, every contract in football is 2 or 3 years, really, when you break it down.
Right.
I mean, and then it's a reassess for those final 2. And did the player outperform it, or is he playing less than? And then the team actually asks them to restructure, or they cut you, right? So that's where I was going with this. I'm sure you don't want to be the market setter. But good luck, Dallas, because you're going to be the market setter with Ezekiel Elliott. If I'm Ezekiel Elliott, there's no way I'm playing football unless I get a contract that's north of Todd Gurley's. He deserves it. He's a workhorse. The team's built around what he can do for the team, the offensive line, the run game, the taking away the game clock and controlling the football, keeping your defense fresh. Everything is going through that in the run game. So no, Ezekiel Elliott, and then we're talking about running back. Which is the most dangerous position in all professional sports. All we talk about is the careers are very short. He's the rushing leader 2 of the last 3 years in football. Probably would have been 3 for 3 if it weren't for a 6-game suspension his second year in the NFL. So I don't see how they avoid this out of the fact that Jerry Jones, I'm sorry, Jerry, just being real here because I like Jerry, but he's old, okay? And he wants to win another Super Bowl before he goes. They're in the window right now.
This is the guy. This is the guy that gives them the window. And yes, they've had awesome drafts. You look around on that roster, both sides.
It's
tremendous talent.
Phenomenal.
I mean, young talent as well. The team is put together very well. They have a nice quarterback. But if you take a step back and remove the names, I always like to start this way and ask this question: is this a playoff team? Yes, it is.
Yes, it is.
Is this a team that can legitimately think about and just not thinking about the hardcore fans, but guys like you and I, you don't hate the Cowboys. Could they be around in late January? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. What are the biggest reasons why? What's the first one that comes to mind? Zeke Elliott.
Yeah.
For sure.
No doubt about it.
If you're in that window, and they are, and I hate talking about windows because it's so cliche, but if you're a team that can really think about playing in January for the next 2 or 3 years, the Cowboys are one of them, and the number one reason is Zeke Elliott.
Yes.
So you got to pay him a lot. He needs to be the highest paid running back in football.
I agree. There's no doubt, and I'm sure that's what he wants. And I think eventually the Cowboys will have to, just deal with that one as far as being the market setter. And plus, what running backs are being paid right now are not salary cap ruining type contracts. $13 million a year for a guy like Todd Gurley or whatever it is, Le'Veon Bell, they're game changers. It's not going to ruin your team and the state of your franchise.
Right.
So that has to be taken into account. And all the things you just said. I mean, this is a Super Bowl team. There's no team on football that the Dallas Cowboys will walk onto the field with this year and go, ooh, we're outmatched in a number of areas. No. I mean, O-line, D-line, top 5 in football in the conversation. I mean, the secondary is phenomenal. The 2 questions we have, like you said, one is Zeke Elliott because he's the guy there, right? And then the second question, if I had about the Dallas Cowboys right now, actually even feeds into Zeke Elliott even more, is the creativity of their pass game. And are they capable of really carrying the team through their pass game, which I got to see it to believe it.
But do they need to be? Because this team is really clicking, and there is a change at coordinator. Kellen Moore is going to be calling
right, and they're putting more pressure on him
gone.
with this situation with not having Ezekiel Elliott there.
They're at their best when Zeke touches it 25 to 30 times.
Yeah.
Most of that in the run game, but he'd catch 6 or 7 balls a game. So Do they need their passing game if Zeke is there to be?
Well, if Zeke's there, no, it takes tremendous pressure off it. You're exactly right. They're not going to have to worry about being like, oh gosh, we have to find 9 million different ways to formulate yards to take away from our run game because Zeke's not here, and now we got to find all these cute ways to get Amari Cooper screens and all this other stuff to where, no, when he's in the lineup, they can go, oh, okay, yeah, this is what we were built to do. Zach Martin's going to pull around the edge. Yeah. We're going to block down. Zach's going to knock some defensive end out. And then it's going to be Ezekiel one-on-one with a linebacker in the hole, and he's going to make a miss, and we're going to get 30 yards. Oh, I'm a good offense coordinator. Look at that. Yeah.
Big Phil makes it.
That was Big Phil. That was Big Phil's first appearance.
I missed him in July.
Yeah, good. Now you got him back. But, yeah, I mean, as far as the importance of the team right now, I do think it goes Zeke, Dak, Amari. And I know I took my little, my little way out there. I think long-term contract, future of the franchise, hey, Dak is very important. I think he's proved to be the franchise quarterback. But right now, and if they want to win the Super Bowl and be successful and be in the Super Bowl hunt, like you're saying, late January, Zeke's better be there.
He has rare leverage for a running back right now.
Right.
So to me, he could hold out for a long time because he's the one with the hammer in this. Worst holdout, or I guess best holdout you saw when you were playing?
Let me think about that.
Someone who really had the ability, you know what, it's my ball, I'm going home, I'm staying here.
Okay, so the first one I'll throw out, probably the ugliest one I was involved with as far as a teammate is concerned, probably be Keenan McCardle with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who had a few good years, right?
Yeah.
Had statistically was up there, he was getting a lot of catches, professional, did everything right, and he wanted his cash. And, he was getting up there in age a little bit. And I think Tampa was reluctant to pay him what he was, what he was worth, really. And he said, screw you guys, I'm not coming back. And then basically forced himself to, what the hell was it, the San Diego Chargers he ended up going to, I think, after that? I can't even remember now that I've done it so long. But
he didn't get his money.
He didn't get his money.
Yeah.
He didn't get his money to the Bucs.
How'd the team feel about it?
Well,
they understand, or were they pissed?
They understood. With Keenan McCardle, I mean, they're always pissed, but Keenan was such a good guy, did everything right, was always mentally on the game, did all the right things physically, practiced right. So when you do that, you earn the benefit of the doubt, too, because people then go, no, he's not some selfish prick who's just looking out for himself all the time. And I think that, hey, Gruden was like, I wish we had Keenan McCardle here, but I think he understood the reality of the situation. Now, I can take you to the Brandon Marshall situation in the Denver Broncos. You want to talk about getting a little awkward? Woo!
Awkward, how so?
Well, Brandon Marshall had been promised by the Broncos that if he, played good and acted accordingly, that they were going to sign him to a long-term contract. Well, he did that, and then they kind of started dragging their feet. They were like, damn, he acted a little bit better than we thought he could actually act, and damn, his play was still good. So they kind of promised a new contract, and here we were going into the 2009 season, and nothing was there, and he didn't want to show up for OTAs or do anything like that. And, I really liked Brandon Marshall, and we were buddies, and I took a liking to him. And, that was the year where he caught balls in practice and was punted them down the field and did all those type of things. At the start of training camp, he was very unhappy. He'd sit in the back of the meeting room with his hood on and his feet on the table, and he didn't want to pay attention. And he'll tell you this, and I've told this story before, I started getting in his ear. Like, come on, man. You want to be paid. You're not winning any extra points here by being the baby in the back of the room.
What was his reaction?
You know what?
His behavior?
Well, I knew I was at the point where I could say it to him. I wouldn't have said that to him if I didn't know him, because he might have kicked my ass and stuffed me in a locker. but I knew I had gotten to where me and him were buddies, and I think he knew I had his best interest in mind. And know what I got his ass to do? I got him to sit in the front row with me and the quarterbacks. And all of a sudden, him and McDaniel started having a little rapport together. And all of a sudden, damn, Brandon Marshall's awesome. All of a sudden, damn, there's 10 more plays in the offense for Brandon Marshall. And we started out 6-0 and all of those things. And he did everything right. But then again, didn't get paid as the season went on. Yeah. And then we got to the end of the year, and I've told this story before. We were with Philadelphia. I think it was week 15. It might have been week 16, going to play the Eagles. And we're getting dressed in the locker room. And everybody's walking out, and I'm the backup quarterback, I'm giving myself the look in the mirror, like, do I look cool when I'm holding the clipboard today? And he's in there doing the same thing. And it's just me and him, and he goes, ah! And I'm like, what? What's up? What's the matter? And he's like, I can't do this. I can't play like this. I can't be me in this situation. I'm so close. And I was like, I know, man. And I remember it was like the biggest flashing light in my life in the career. I went, man, this is f***ed up. Here's a guy who's had nothing his whole life. He came from nothing. He's this close from changing his life, his family's life, everything about it. He plays wide receiver in the NFL and plays it physical, in which he did. And yeah, he was having a hard time laying it all on the line when we were playing a meaningless 2 games, okay? And he knew he was 2 games away from making $10 million a year. And man, was that tough. And I'll tell you exactly what I told him. I said, be careful out there. You worry about you out here.
Think you played differently?
I do. I don't know how you couldn't. How could you not? And especially when it's a non-meaningful game.
Right.
Like, it wasn't for us going to the playoffs. It was over. We were done. And, yeah, and that's what football players have to go through, and it's not always easy.
Isn't that just part of being a pro?
Part of being a pro, yes.
Yeah.
And he acted like a pro. This was me and him, special conversation, and nobody else knew that on the field that day.
Right.
And me and him are cool enough to where he knows I've told this story publicly because it needs to be known how hard it is on some of these guys in these situations. It's not fair. It's a physical sport. You lose your knee, and all of a sudden that $10 million a year you're about to make just went down to $1 million a year, and and everything's different from there on out.
The situation a lot of guys end up going through.
Yes.
Facing the exact same thing.
No doubt.
And, part of the reason he didn't get paid probably had to do with his own maturity at that point, which got a lot better.
It did.
As he went forward.
And look at him now. He's like the perfect poster child. Well, obviously, and he was going through, he had true, imbalances, bipolar, all that stuff. He was going through all those type of things, and nobody had figured it out. He was in the process of figuring that out right then. And he's gotten diagnosed, and look at him now. I mean, he's handsome, awesome, great on TV, and really could do whatever he wants.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thinking about different kinds of personalities and leadership out there, you read about Baker Mayfield this week?
Oh, you know it.
Right?
I can't. Baker's like can't miss TV.
Every single time.
Right.
Yeah.
And he's just so honest.
Yeah.
And the way he talks, and he's just got a great way about him. It's refreshing to see a quarterback talk the way Baker Mayfield does.
He goes about business whether you like it or not, a lot different than the other guys. So before we get too far into that, let's take a listen to what Baker had to say. And this is after a training camp practice where he was scrambling. He didn't feel like his receivers were working back to him. When a quarterback gets out of the pocket, they got to come back. They got to go away. They got to do something other than what they're doing.
Yeah, right.
Every team has rules.
Right.
He didn't think his guys were doing that, and he had this to say afterward. This is after he apparently yelled at
everybody, and they all saw it on the practice field.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Here's his response.
Well, yeah, I'm not a jackass. You got to talk through it. I'm gonna harp on it, and then I'm gonna talk to him. I mean, those guys know that that's a big part of our offense, and they know that. It's just the fact that if we get lazy and we let things slide, we need to be over-communicating right now. That's what the good teams do. I mean, like I said, we got to be on the same page.
Even more vocal this year?
Yeah, I mean, it'd be kind of hard for the backup QB in training camp to be very vocal last year. So this year is definitely a lot different.
So he basically what he's saying is now I'm allowed to be myself. Yeah. And that's a different kind of emotion, different kind of leadership than we see from other quarterbacks.
Totally. I mean, one, he's wise beyond his years and acts. I mean, if you didn't tell me and I didn't see his face and I just heard that answer, right? I'd go, oh, that's 32-year-old quarterback who's talking like that. I mean, that's the thing I love about it. And I'm not a jackass. First off, he knows he can yell at the players and they're going to react the right way because he knows he has the right relationship with them off the bat. That's where hanging out with the guys, asking about your family and friends and what's going on, having a beer with the guys every now and then, they know where you're coming from. And that's the one thing you just continue to hear with Baker Mayfield. He's the real deal. What you see is what you get every day, wears his heart on his sleeve, and everybody knows he's in it to win it. Right. And it's not about like showing anybody up or saving face at practice because it made him look bad. He doesn't give a damn about all that. So I love that aspect about it.
And right now everybody's excited. I mean, they're as excited about the Browns as they've ever been. But what if we get to September, October, November, and Baker's being himself, which, as we all know, he's an emotional guy. And that's why he's fun to watch. But that leadership comes out from his emotion. And if they've lost 4 or 5 games in a row, they've lost 2 out of 3, he's not playing well, how will the guys respond to it then? when he's being the exact same guy, but
Yeah.
he's making mistakes, he's not playing well, and the team's not winning, is it still going to be the same kind of response from his teammates?
Yeah, right.
At that point.
I think it will.
That's what I want.
I do. I think it will, because I don't think he'll ever cross that line to where it's going to go like, oh, he called Antonio Brown out on a slant at the 1-yard line for no reason, and he's wrong. I don't think he's like that. I just don't think it. I think he's very true to what he is. And, you know, again, I know a lot of people think like, oh gosh, how is Odell Beckham Jr. going to act when Baker Mayfield starts yelling at everybody? I think like Odell Beckham Jr. is going to be like, thank God somebody's yelling at the offense. The last team I was at, I always had to be the guy to yell at everybody when everybody was, showed no energy or did anything. So again, this is Tom Brady, how years and years he could yell at his offensive linemen and yell at guys. Why? Because they know where Tom's coming from. Yeah, he's that good. They see how he works. Every day he expects perfection from himself, so he demands it from others. And then they also know this is business. This ain't band practice, and we're not going out there to like work the trombone better today. It's the NFL. It's a business, and sometimes you got to say some harsh words to harsh guys.
And you get different kinds of leadership
Yes.
from different quarterbacks, and that's a term that gets thrown out there and not explained, and it's one that kind of drives me crazy.
Right.
Oh, he's a good leader. He's not a good leader. I want to ask everybody, what do you mean by leadership?
Yeah.
Thinking about that, best leaders you were ever around.
Ooh.
It could be quarterback, it could be non-quarterback. And I'd love to know if you've been around guys like Baker. It was a non-traditional kind of leadership. Where they're always ready to fight. Like
I was kind of like that. No, I didn't make a name for myself and didn't win a Heisman. But I mean, if you asked some of my teammates, they would tell you that you were like, you'd be the guy in the locker room like, what the f***?
What are the ways that helped you? And what are the ways that you looking back now and say, maybe that wasn't the best?
Well, I mean, when you're boisterous like that, you show great confidence and do that, and then you don't play well. Guys are like, oh, he's a little too cocky or a little too full of himself at times or whatever.
And it's impossible. Like you're going to have games. You're going to have stretches of games where you don't play well.
And you can't bat an eye about that. But yeah, those are sometimes some of the things that when you are that boisterous and vocal like that a little bit, that it can come back to get you in the face with a guy who maybe doesn't love you in the locker room or anything like that. So,
the best leader you ever played with.
Okay, best leader I ever played with. Ooh, this is a really good question. Okay, so I think I'm going to have to go with Brian Dawkins, the Denver Broncos. Brian Dawkins was just like the perfect human. I mean, perfect guy off the field, perfect guy in the locker room all week. Could always approach him. Always had a few wise things of wisdom for the younger players, whatever else. Was a great example setter on how to approach the game on a daily basis. Didn't always have to say it through words. You just went, damn, B-Doc is one of the first guys in the locker room. He's here way long. He's leaving the locker room when the quarterbacks are leaving and stuff. So he was there all day long. And then this is the greatest thing about Brian Dawkins. Like kind of a holy man, soft-spoken all week. And then the transformation of all transformations on a Sunday. Yeah. Where you walk in the locker room and Wolverine's there. And you're like, is this real? Like, can he really, like, who is this guy? First off, I remember the first preseason game or the first game that was real and he was playing. I was like, is this real? Like, I've never seen somebody change their persona to this extent.
Like, you couldn't talk to him in the locker room?
You could talk to him, but it was crazy. It was fired up. He might do a somersault in the middle of the locker room and he was it was ready to go. The lights were on and I'm ready. But I think he would classify as the best leader that I was ever around. And, the other thing that Baker said, I mean, you know this. You can't be a leader when you're the backup quarterback.
Exactly.
It's not possible. You're respectful of the quarterback that's ahead of you. He's the leading guy on the offense. He's the voice that needs to be heard. And, there was another clip this week, too, of like one of the offensive linemen saying that Baker Mayfield, they knew he was the real deal when he finally got in the game and he talked some shit to the Jets players. And I don't even know who you are or whatever else. He got to show himself. And now he gets to show the personality, and it's just little things like that where the team continues to latch on. And, this guy's not afraid of anything. And, man, he's quick-witted even out here on the field when he's got all these things to think about. And he's pretty cool under pressure. And just all those things build up to where now you see Baker Mayfield and who he is and the team's behind him.
I think whether it's Brian Dawkins or Baker Mayfield, as long as your teammates know you're one of the better players in the team.
Yeah. And it's coming from the right place.
What you said about Brian Dawkins, like preparing the right way during the week with his film work and how he practiced and how long he stayed, You can do anything else as long as you do that and play on Sundays. If you're loud or not loud,
right.
If you're a jerk or a nice guy, they will put up with anything if you treat your week the right way and you show up and play great most Sundays.
Yeah.
No matter what you do.
No
the rest
matter
of the time.
what. Exactly right.
So as it relates to Baker Mayfield,
Yeah.
he can keep being himself. He can keep being brash and emotional as long as guys trust he does it right during the week.
Right.
And they know when he's out there on Sunday, this is the guy we need to play. Otherwise, we don't have as good a chance to win.
Yeah, exactly right. He can't sell anybody out personally that way. And you're right. As long as he doesn't, if he puts a string together of 5 bad games, then it could be.
And he's yelling at his receivers.
He might have to readjust. But for right now, it's all on the up and up, and he's kicking ass. And I can't wait to watch the Browns.
I think second preseason game they're scheduled to play
To
against
get after
the Colts.
Yeah. Oh.
And thinking about the Colts,
Very good by you.
Got to get to Andrew Luck. A lot of people are awfully worried about what's going on there. He missed so much time with the shoulder.
Yep.
And that was finally healthy. He played great. Now he's got the calf. He's had it since last spring, and now he's missing significant training camp time.
Not doing anything.
Which side do you come down? You say, you know what? This is a veteran. He's been dinged up before. We're taking it easy. There's nothing to worry about. It's only a calf. Or do you look at his injury past and say, I am really concerned about where this is going?
Okay, I lean towards more of your first there, where I want to go, hey, he's a veteran. It's still very early in training camp. The season will not be dictated by Andrew Luck practicing or not practicing on August 1st. It's not going to matter. Doesn't mean anything. Now, you ask me this question 3 weeks from now, the answer might be different. Now, I'll say this much. I'm not concerned right now, but there is some concerning things about a few different things here. I mean, one, okay, you just said he's been dealing with this spring, okay? So this is where I just want to absolutely just go freaking berserk at times.
Like, why isn't it better?
Why isn't it? Oh, we're going to rest it. We've been resting it for 4 months.
Right.
So this is where I always get on the NFL and their rehabilitation techniques and things like that. They are behind the 8 ball as far as the rest of the world and rehabilitating sports stars or sports injuries or anything like that. Okay? They're behind the 8 ball. They're way behind. It's ice and stim for everything. Oh, your shoulder hurts? Ice and stim.
Don't you think Andrew Luck's getting a little more specific?
I don't know. No, he went to his friend to get a shoulder surgery, so he's lost that trust with me there. 1, okay. 2, this is the other thing I'll just say. There's obviously something more. If the calf is continuing to be the issue, and we're continuing to rest the calf and rehab the calf,
right?
We are at the point now where it's not the calf, okay? There's something else that's not pulling its workload, and this is more times that happens with myself, players I've talked to throughout the NFL, my teammates that I've been around, where a guy has a pulled hamstring. His hamstring's been pulled. He's pulled it 4 times in the last 7 months. Well, it's not his hamstring. That's the problem then. His hamstring's pulling because the quads shut off. Maybe he got hit with a thigh bruise in a game, or the glute. Maybe, somebody put their helmet in his butt and his glute's not pulling its workload. So now the hamstring has to pull double the workload, and it pulls because it's going, I'm working a lot over here. So that to me right away looks like one issue, okay? That's an old man injury. I mean, calf.
Yeah.
Right? That's
Aaron Rodgers had it.
Had it a little bit. You're right.
As I was thinking about it, driving, that's really the only.
That's the only guy I can think of. Right. You're right. I mean, I know Jeff Garcia had it. I was on a team 1 year with Jeff Garcia, and he was getting up there in years, Vinny Testaverde and Dan Marino, when they were up in their career, they went to Kevin Durantville, where it wasn't the calf, but the Achilles tore, right? Yeah. So it's usually the wise old veteran in the locker room who has the calf strain pull. That to me is a little weird at the age of 30.
He's not old enough
to
have this injury.
And well, then that's an important part of your game as a quarterback, right? Stepping up in the pocket, moving in the pocket. That's a lot of stress on the calf muscle. And history says with the calf muscle, it's a reoccurring injury.
Yeah.
And that's where I get worried. I worry, finally he gets back, he's playing, and all of a sudden it's week 7. The week before he had to run a lot because he was playing some team with a great pass rush, and now he pulls it again and aggravates it. That's really the worry there.
It sounds like you would say to a Colts fan, you can tell me if I'm wrong here. Keep your hand on that panic button instead of pulling it off. Sounds like you've got it.
Yeah, it should hover right now. And don't hit it. Don't hit the panic button or anything like that. Now, we get to like August 14th, 20th, somewhere in there.
Which is
then we might have
up.
to start touching it. And
he turns 30 early this season.
I know.
You think that age has something to do with it?
I think that, the physical nature in which he played the position his first few years, it catches up to you. I don't care who you are. Like we said, I know we said it in the spring, and I've said it before, If Cam Newton can get hurt at quarterback, then anybody can. And I don't care who you are. You ain't going to get through, unscathed playing that way. And Andrew Luck played very physical football for those first few years of his career leading up to hurting his shoulder. So, yeah, but that's the great thing about having a Jacoby Brissett. Right? And that's why you have a great backup quarterback. One, the biggest reason, it saves your team because now if your team's good, your team still feels good when it has a Jacoby Brissett.
But the team is potentially great with Andrew Luck.
Yes.
He's not there.
No.
9-7?
I mean, yeah, right. They're going to have to manage games differently, change the formula in which they want to play to a degree. And, yeah, it's going to be kind of wait and see. Right, could be a decent team. But Andrew Luck is one of the 5 best quarterbacks in football.
Right.
And that's easy to defend. Now, I think, with the Jacoby Brissett, the other thing that's great about having a good backup like that, and I've seen this in years past, is where, practice gets ruined when the starter's not there because now the backup's not as good and we got to call different plays and we got to call plays that fit his skill set because he can't do this, but our starter could, and now we're having to do that. They're not going to at least have to worry about that. If T.Y. Hilton's open 60 yards down the field, Jacoby Brissett can throw that damn thing down there just like Andrew Luck can, and they can just go, okay, at least we're running our offense and doing the same stuff. Those are the positives about being in that situation.
From top 5 quarterback to one who's not one of your top 5s. A good segue to Tom Brady.
Oh, hello. Good, very nice
Remembering
of
some
you.
of our conversations.
You're such a jerk. What an asshole. Good to see you back from France.
From late in the spring, Tom Brady talked to the media for the first time yesterday. Always good to hear what he has to say. He made a couple comments about how he's put on some weight. Remember, physically, it was always about not lifting and being more, being
pliable.
Pliable.
Yes.
Smoking mirrors.
Getting
it done that way.
Right.
Apparently, he weighs a little more, and he had a good reason for it.
Yeah.
Wants to take the punishment a little better. What do you think?
You could see it. I could see it in his uniform from day one.
Yeah.
I think it's a smart decision for him. The last few years, I think he's worried about his weight just because he wanted to be a hair bit more mobile and move. I think he's realized now it's not going to matter. He's slow. He's 42. He's not going anywhere.
Right.
I'm going to stand in there. I think it's a really smart decision by him. And, hey, this is the thing quarterbacks got to go through. I did this. I was always kind of like teetering on this. Do I want to be 222, 225 and a little faster? Or do I want to be like 235 and 238 and just go, I'm going to stand in the pocket all day and bring it?
I would say, and I've only watched. You actually did.
But I'd like
be
to hear
240.
Right.
Instead of 220.
Yeah, right.
There's one known, you're going to get your ass kicked
weeks
1 through 17.
Yes.
And the bigger and stronger you are, better chance you have to get through it.
Yeah, it depends on the player, I guess, and where you are at. Now, the year I lost my spleen, I did that. I said,
it was just a random
it was.
thing, whether you weighed 210 or 250.
But it was. I mean, it was random, the hit, nonetheless. But I'm just telling you, my mindset was I'm 238, and Gruden called me big soldier, and I was going, yep, that's what I am.
You were a little too confident.
Oh, yeah, I was indestructible. There was nobody that was going to hurt me. Huh. I just was going to stand in the pocket. And Gruden used to love that. He played in that, and played into my ego with it. And, that's right. I don't give a shit if it's Julius Peppers.
Right.
Whatever. I'm going to throw it. And I was great at being able to do that, and being able to look downfield and not feel the pass rush and do that. But within that, I look at things like that and go, that might have not been the right decision. The years before that, I've kind of played the other way, where I went, I'm going to be quicker and faster. And you know what? I danced out of harm's way a few times or scrambled out of the pocket a few times because of it. So I just thought it was an interesting thing because quarterbacks do have to kind of finagle with that in their brain as they go into a year. Right. Even if you've had, let's just say a bad ankle sprain or a high ankle sprain in training camp or leading up to training camp, and you go, ooh, I'm not going to be able to run the same way. You maybe then compensate to go, I'm going to lift a little more weights because I know I can't get out of the way, so I can at least take this beating. I think that's smart for Brady at 42.
I don't think it'll have one thing to do with how well he plays and his decision making and all that.
Nothing.
I think it's great. I mean, potentially great for his longevity and feeling good in week 14.
Right.
Like he did in week 3.
No doubt. And when you get older, you start to get frailer and lose that muscle mass anyways.
Right. You get to your 40s and you could seriously, and I'm not making this up, you could seriously get hurt like making the bed.
No, exactly right.
You can pull something so easily.
Exactly right. And we talk about great leaders I played with, Derek Brooks, right? The guy, Rondé Barber. Gosh, I got a lot of guys I played with I could have put in that conversation. But Derek Brooks, I'll never forget this. One of the ending years at the end of his career, he went into, I'm getting old, I'm going to lose weight so I can be faster like I was when I was younger.
Yeah.
But within that, he lost his explosiveness and some of his muscle mass, and I don't think it necessarily helped him that way. And I think that's what you have to be afraid of when you get a little bit older is, not worry about that necessarily. I thought it kind of hurt Derek Brooks at the end more than helped him, and I don't know. I mean, I should ask him that, and he would know better than me, but that's just my feeling.
Maybe he can call in sometime.
Yeah.
You're eventually going to be out on the road here with the
I'm
next
going
week or two?
I'm going out on the road Monday.
Hanging out with Peter King?
I'm going with Peter King on the training camp tour. I will be in Cleveland and Pittsburgh next week, so that's going to be really cool. And then, of course, like you said, I'm going to be there with Peter King. I mean, the
you guys
man,
like driving
the legend.
in a van?
I'm going to be driving in a van down by the river.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just spent a month in a van. You want some van etiquette travel advice?
Well, yeah.
No?
No, I mean, the submarine rule is the first thing.
Which is?
I mean, Peter or anybody else better not be farting in the car, okay? That's the submarine rule.
I never heard.
Yeah.
I mean, I knew the general concept. I didn't know the submarine rule.
Yeah, the submarine rule. Once you go underwater, you got to hold that crap in, okay?
Right.
So, yes, that's the only thing I'm worried about, all right? And I don't want to eat too unhealthy, okay?
It's a hard thing to pull off.
I know it is.
You'll have subways, though. You'll have places to go. Like, try doing it in France, my man.
That would be easy, right? For
No,
eating? Not eating?
For eating healthy?
Yeah. No?
Not a chance.
Well, at least you're going to eat good, though.
What?
No?
Duck?
I don't want to do duck.
Fish gelatin?
I would eat a whole lot of French fries. I know that everywhere I went.
Frites.
But check that out.
Okay.
Peter King podcast. He's been getting unbelievable interviews, which you would expect. He's Peter King. Always asks some great questions. So you can always download that, watch it, NBCSports.com/training camp tour. And Peter this past week had a really interesting conversation with Grady Jarrett with the Atlanta Falcons. I want to go to that because I thought it was pretty funny.
This.
Yeah, go ahead.
Right.
Let's play it.
So we watching the draft on the first night. They get through the whole first round. I'm really disappointed. I ain't going the first round. So that second day is when we caught the fire at the house. So watching the draft, and then all of a sudden, you smell something funny in the middle of the draft. It's already hectic, but we had to, get everybody out of the house. Just very, very unfortunate situation. But during the time, the draft's still going on. So we getting everybody out of the house, but I still got my phone on me now, just in case something go down. Hours and hours go by. They get to the end of the third. Browns was making the last pick of the third round. They took a defensive tackle. They took Xavier Cooper. And I was like, bang, I slammed my phone. Like, dang, I still didn't get drafted. My house on fire. I'm like, man, I don't know what's going on. So the full fourth round go by. See more tackles going. And at this point, I'm kind of just laid out on the floor like, man, I'm not getting drafted or whatever. I just going whatever. So finally get the call, first pick of the fifth round. And I was happy to be able to stay home. And at that time, it didn't matter anymore, where I went to draft.
Unbelievable.
Unbelievable.
I heard all kinds of stories about guys being disappointed they didn't get picked, but then his house is on fire?
Nothing like a fire going on when you feel like your life is burning down in flames because you're not getting drafted when you want.
Right?
Yeah. I mean,
You see the look on Peter's face, like there's just jaw open.
Oh, yeah.
Every now and then you get one of those.
It's, the draft is a stressful day for everybody not in the top 20.
Right.
Okay. Everybody else doesn't know what the hell is going to happen. I had to kick friends out of my house the day of the draft. It
wasn't on fire, though.
Well, it wasn't on
far as
fire.
I know.
I was about to set the damn thing on fire, though. I was that pissed. I wanted to burn everything. Yeah.
Where'd you think you were going?
I thought I was going to go at the end of the first round to the Oakland Raiders. Al Davis pretty much told me to my face that they had the last two picks of the first round that they were going to draft me. So
who'd they take?
They ended up taking, a defensive player from the Colorado Buffaloes.
CU. What year was that?
CU is 2003.
Okay, so they went defense.
They went defense with both of them, I believe. I think the other
Did
one
they
might have
call
been,
you between?
No, I think I got no call. I think they totally lied to me to try to set up the narrative and maybe get somebody to trade up in the round, do something like that. I thought there was maybe an outside chance the Baltimore Ravens might take me in the 20. They went with Kyle Bowler. So, then, I got into the second round.
They took Nnamdi Asomugha.
Nnamdi Asomugha, that's who it was. He was, what was the linebacker's name?
Tyler.
Braden, right.
There you go.
Exactly right. So it was those two at the end. Now, they were right with taking Nnamdi Asomugha.
Yeah.
So good job by them.
He was pretty good.
He was amazing. He was the best corner, or at least in that conversation in football for a few years. But, it's a stressful day.
Yeah.
And I sat around forever. And I wasn't even happy. But that's the kind of shit you'll get on the Peter King podcast. So check that out, Peter King podcast, and his training camp tour going on. And I'm going to jump on the old bandwagon with him next week in Cleveland and Pittsburgh. Now, speaking of jerks, okay?
Matt Casey's over there.
We have a little special gift for you today. We got a little We're going to do a little fantasy talk with Josh Norris. He's going to be coming over here any second. And we're going to talk about some Rotoworld fantasy, and I'm going to give him my dose of reality with this fantasy. We'll see how it goes.
Look forward to it.
Good.
All right.
Oh, looky who we have here.
Who we found.
Looky
loitering around the
who's here.
set.
Oh, man.
We have the great Josh Norris here with us today from Rotoworld.
Yes,
we're going to
sir.
get into a little fantasy talk, okay? First thing is, we're going to talk fantasy football. Hopefully I can give some reality. I know you're going to give some reality, too. I'm not a fantasy football player, right?
Never?
No, I have not done it.
Ever?
Ever.
Nobody,
I might
nobody
do it this
has
year.
dragged
Year
you
one.
into a league and
Well-
said, just, we're going to give you these players. Never?
No, well, like Bleacher Report tried to do it with me a little last year, but I didn't do anything. Just my name was on there. But like, all right. So what happens to me is I become sick of fantasy before the year starts because it's the only text I will get from friends, and I'm just like, oh my gosh.
So
Like,
it's
leave me
Like
alone.
searching
form
for
of
inside
protest.
info?
Inside
okay,
info.
I'm going to do some of that today.
Or who would you play? Become Sunday morning. Who
Right.
would you play? This guy against this team or this guy against that team? And I just type back like, I have a job and I'm doing shit today.
You're protesting.
So screw off.
Yeah.
Like, right. And if you win, then I want your winnings.
Nice way to start, though. Like,
Yeah.
I didn't play forever either.
Yeah.
It's something I started doing with my sons.
Nice.
So maybe do it with your kids.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's a good idea.
It's a fun thing to do together.
My little boy might be getting towards that.
Yeah.
But either way, Josh, Rotoworld Football Podcast. I mean, you going to be okay with like me swearing and doing all this here today?
Look, we can put the explicit tag on it like we have the past 2 times you've been on.
Okay. That's what you've done?
Yes.
I get
it's,
the E.
It's the Chris Simms,
Do you ever
type of
go
show.
there?
That's
you
good.
ever let one fly? Like a F?
No,
or
he
an S?
hasn't yet.
No?
He hasn't.
I'm
We're
a
gonna
good
try to-
Southern boy.
We're going to try to do that today by the end of this pod.
By the way, Chris,
Yeah.
I always love joining you guys, right? It's the guy who played quarterback in college, the guy who played quarterback in the NFL, and the guy who played quarterback at 8th grade recess.
Eighth grade recess
yeah.
is the most fun, though.
Yeah,
I was dangerous.
Come on. I used to have kids that would give me their snacks at lunchtime so they could be on my recess football team. Okay, the chewy granola. I had this one kid. He used to his chewy granola bar every day. He was
With the
gonna give it to me.
raisins?
But no raisins.
Chocolate
Oh, my
chips.
Chocolate chips
Yeah.
or peanut butter chocolate.
Yeah.
And he would give it to me every day, so he'd make sure I would pick him as one of the receivers.
You had recess in 8th grade?
Yeah, maybe I'm stretching it
Yeah,
from
might
6th
have
grade.
been.
Maybe
Yeah,
6th
yeah,
grade
you're
was
right.
my peak.
6 was
Six
recess.
for sure,
cutoff.
you're right. I think 7th and 8th grade was like, we're too cool to play football at recess, so we
Yeah,
just
never.
hang. We'll hang. But
Right.
either way, this is going to be cool.
Yep.
You the man, Josh. Thanks for doing this. And, I mean, let's start. I want to kind of hear, I know you got some rankings of positions where guys are ranked. Let's start at the position,
Right.
quarterback.
Yeah.
How does Rotoworld have these guys ranked?
Well, it's super deep, and obviously these are our preseason rankings, and obviously a lot of things are going to change as the preseason goes along. But at the top, it's obviously Patrick Mahomes, the number 1 quarterback of last year. The issue, though, is a lot of times right now he's going in round 2, 3, or 4.
Right.
And last year we were able to get him in round 10, 11, 12. So that's how you could kind of set up your roster that way. But we kind of want to try to find the Patrick Mahomes of this year. But again, look at this top 10 list.
Yeah, right.
It's amazing names. You have Deshaun Watson, who was the quarterback 4 last year. You have Cam Newton, who was fantastic before that shoulder injury. You have Baker Mayfield now with added weapons. Chris, the name I want to ask you about is there at number 10
Right.
with Kyler Murray and the Arizona Cardinals.
Right.
Because there's a lot to love, but a lot of it is just talk right now.
Yes, I
right?
know.
Because it's a 4-wide offense, an air raid system, maybe things we have not seen before.
Yep.
But at the same time, it's Kyler Murray who averaged 71 rushing yards per game last year at Oklahoma. So that floor gives him a safe, amount of points each week for fantasy football.
Right.
But my question to you is, do you have any sense of what this offense might look like? And I know it's built and catered to Kyler, but again, we have no idea what it is.
No, I mean, I'm hoping we're going to see a better version of the things we saw him do at Oklahoma and Texas Tech with a little more of a diversity of maybe formations and things like that because it's the NFL. But I still think at the very base level, it's going to be an offense that he's been in and comfortable in. I mean, that's the one thing you're hearing right off the bat. Larry Fitzgerald talking about ownership of the offense. Well, he was in this offense his whole college career.
Right.
He knows it back and forth. That's a great advantage for a rookie quarterback who's supposed to be the rookie who knows nothing, and yet he gets in the huddle and the 10 other veterans know nothing and he knows all of it.
Right.
So I think that is big for him. His talent's real. We know they're going to throw the football a whole lot because of Cliff Kingsbury and what they do. So, I mean, I would think fantasy-wise, I understand that being the top 10 because I think the stats are going to be there.
Yes.
Added to I don't think their defense is
It's
all
good
that
at
great.
all.
So that's going to make their offense have to push the ball and do those things, right?
I had the initial reaction like, oh, Kyler Murray's name is on the top 10, just below Drew Brees, which is another conversation, having him at 9. But then my next thought about Kyler Murray, they're going to be losing.
I would think so.
I would think a lot of the time.
Right.
So the amount of times he is running, the amount of times he's throwing, I mean, he might have some empty numbers, but you don't get penalized for that in fantasy.
No, exactly.
If we can keep it on this Kyler conversation, because we've seen a lot of kind of new waves of offense come along in the past decade in some ways. Like you had your moment with the Wildcat. You had your read option, zone read situations.
Right.
I wouldn't be surprised, and I'm not saying that this offense is anywhere close to that, but a lot of teams need 4 to 5 games until defenses really understand how to play you.
No doubt.
And I wouldn't be surprised at all if that's the case with the Cardinals, because they're not going to show much in preseason.
No,
they're going to keep it close to what they want to do.
Right.
It really surprised us in week 1. I'm really excited for that.
I mean, I think that's a really valid point for anybody in fantasy. The reality is very much of what you just said. You know, people are not going to know what to expect. Cliff Kingsbury is unknown to the NFL. Yeah, everybody's going to go back to watch college film and do that, but they're still not going to trust what they see in college in totality. And yes, that's usually when defenses get their bearing straight, is when you've had 3 or 4 games of breakdowns to then tendencies start to pop up and you get a feel of where the coach likes to attack and things like that. So I'm with you. I would think early on in the year, they're going to be a pain in the butt to defend because of the unknown, and it's a little different for the rest of the NFL. Well, I got one question with the quarterback thing. I know quarterbacks are usually not like the number 1 picks, right?
Right.
When you throw for 50 touchdowns and 5,000 yards, does that all of a sudden
anything?
Yeah, does that change anything in the fantasy world?
It kind of goes back to the point I made at the beginning.
Yeah.
Because it's how you want to construct your roster. The position is so deep. We didn't even get to names like Carson Wentz, Jameis Winston, Jared Goff, Lamar Jackson, Phillip Rivers, Tom Brady. We have as quarterback 19. That's how deep this position is. And it's because when you look at the scoring from last year, let's take 2018, for example. Patrick Mahomes put up 399 points. The next quarterback, Big Ben, 327 points.
Yeah.
Matt Ryan, 325. Aaron Rodgers, 311. Deshaun Watson, 309. So taking a quarterback in round 2 or round 3 means you can't take a running back or a wide receiver, which you have to play 2 or 3 of each and every week.
Gotcha.
Instead, you're taking one of those in round 10 or 11. Meanwhile, the drop-off in that is about 150 points at running back or wide receiver versus quarterback. It's about 50, 70, depending on if you land that number 1 quarterback.
How is Ben Roethlisberger not in the top 10?
The loss of Antonio Brown. There's something like 200 targets available now on the table. And actually Big Ben is declining. You might agree with this, especially his away stats, him on the road. He's just not as good as he was. I do think that they can still lead the league in pass attempts this year.
Right.
But it's a concern for me, and it just shows you how deep this position is, where we have all these fantastic names, and we have Big Ben at quarterback 13. So he's still up there. He's still going to start on a team each and every week in fantasy football.
Which quarterback is not in the top 10? Because I'm assuming this is Rotoworld as a whole,
It is.
not just yours.
I'm just a minor voice.
Okay, there you go. Well, I understand that. You and I can relate very well. Who's not in the top 10 that should be?
I want to put Lamar Jackson in there.
Really?
This is going to appeal to you.
Okay.
And we talked about rushing performances.
Yeah.
And really rushing numbers at quarterback give you a very safe floor for the position. In that, we know with Lamar Jackson, and it was funny, this week actually John Harbaugh talked about, and a reporter asked him, well, do you think he's going to break Cam Newton's single season record of 149 carries, 130? And I looked at that, and he's like, oh yeah, way past. And I was like, oh, that's big. Then I looked at his numbers last year. He already did that in 7 games last season.
Wasn't even, I know, what was it, 100 and what last year?
39,
100,
I think.
You're right, yeah, 139. So he was 10 off last year, and he played less than half the season.
So to me, when you have that rushing upside, again, you get 1 point for every 10 yards rushing versus 1 point for every 25 yards passing. If he's just elevated a little bit as a passer, again, and with an offense that is catered to him throughout an entire offseason, to me that's really exciting. And he's going right now as the quarterback 15 or 16, which is much, much later on.
All right, so yeah, that's an interesting one, but they are going to run the hell out of them, and they're going to continue to run the hell out of them. All right, so here's, I just want to know with Brady, like, and with the fantasy football, I mean, is it a little bit like the Big Ben thing, the fact that Gronk's not there? Does that take away from it right away? I mean, I know the stats weren't quite the same last year, but what is the kind of the justification for him being that low?
Last year he finished as the quarterback 13.
Yeah.
And now you don't have Rob Gronkowski.
Right.
And that's the issue. And it's kind of the same thing as Drew Brees, the name that you brought up.
Yeah.
These are people that a couple years ago had 5,000 attempts.
But they're
or
still
5,000
the number
yards,
one
I
and
should
number
say.
2 quarterback in football. You
Sure.
didn't know that? You didn't know that? At 41, they're better than the guys who were in their prime who were doing way better than them, but
Look,
they're better.
We can
it
stand
has nothing to
with
do
this
with their
together.
team and their offense and their great pass protection and the best
Let's get 'em
offensive
started,
coaches
right?
ever
I
seen.
know.
I couldn't help it. Go ahead.
I feel like it's May all over again. We're just sitting here for this.
Yeah, well,
this
the conversation never dies.
These are the quarterbacks, though, that a couple years ago, for multiple seasons, averaged around 5,000 yards passing.
Right.
And now they are going into run-first offenses.
Yes.
And so now they go down to about 4,000 yards passing. Drew Brees was under 4,000 yards passing last season.
Yeah.
So that allowed us to love Alvin Kamara. It allowed us to love Mark Ingram. Passing attempts is a main part. Efficiency is important, and Drew Brees and Tom Brady are still that. But to me, they're just run-first offenses, and with all these other players that are ranked above him, a lot of times they have to carry their offense more.
I want to get back to a question he asked. I think a lot of people, I don't have a lot of fantasy experience,
Yeah.
but I will play with my sons. I should take a quarterback when? Not in round 1.
Oh, no, like round 10, 11, 12.
Really?
Yeah, wait that long.
I thought it was like 2nd or 3rd.
Oh, no. Again, we talked about the top 10. We didn't mention Carson Wentz, who might have an MVP season.
Yeah.
Right? Add in Deshaun Jackson, a weapon he's never had.
Right.
An offensive line that is too deep.
Yeah.
As long as he stays healthy, possible MVP candidate. Jared Goff, what has changed for them other than a couple offensive line pieces that hopefully they can overcome? He's as quarterback 13 right now. We mentioned Lamar Jackson. Even Josh Allen last year had like a 3-game stretch where he was the #1 quarterback in fantasy football. Just because of his rushing totals.
I just wrote his name. Just looking at the total list, I just wrote his name down as a guy like I would say. Like there was
Because you're going to call him after the podcast.
Well, I'm going to call him, make sure he knows like I'm still kissing his ass. But no, I wrote him down. I wrote 3 guys down that I would think would be kind of under the radar values, and Josh Allen would be one. I think with what they've done with that offense personnel-wise, his second year, you saw some special moments for him last year. I could see him between his running and his deep ball throwing there. He could be big that way.
There is a little bit of a difference to me between Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson.
Right.
One, and watching this, you can pick this up. Lamar Jackson, a lot of his runs, or all of them, were designed runs.
Yes.
Josh Allen was scrambles.
Right.
And that's not as sticky year to year as called designed
you're
runs.
going to run it. Right.
And also, Josh Allen, if I could make you guess, he averaged 11 yards per scramble last year.
Yeah.
Wow.
No, I think
That's
if his
an NFL
name's not
record.
Josh Allen, there's commercials about him and he's doing his own Nike products. But because he's playing in Buffalo, the fact that he did things with his legs last year, I hear you. I think it's gone a little
I
under
do
the
wonder,
radar.
though, and because he was like he wasn't an efficient passer. We can put it that way. We can agree on that.
Yeah, definitely.
I do think that at least we get a full offseason of offensive changes from Brian Daboll, something catered to him rather than, halfway through the season of, okay, he can pick up something outside of structure and then throw deep shots to Robert Foster this year. That's to John Brown. But I don't think that his same rushing totals can be stick. We might have seen the biggest rushing totals of Josh Allen's career as a rookie.
Yeah, I would think so. I mean, if he's running that much this year, I'm going, he's not developing in the pass game quite the way he should be. So I think that's a fair statement.
Who are the other two?
Well, Jameis Winston would be one.
Man.
I'm not saying you pick him as your first quarterback, and I don't know enough to know what. But I'm just saying he could have big numbers.
For sure.
It falls in the line of it's Bruce Arians. There's talent on the offense. The defense is not dominant. They play in a good division. They could be behind by 5 and 10 points a lot in the fourth quarter. That just jumps out to me stat-wise. And then if I was just going to go who's the Patrick Mahomes of this year? Who's the guy that might flirt with 50 touchdowns? Baker Mayfield would be the guy where I'd say watch out. I just think
you have him at 7th. He's at number 7.
which I know he's higher up, but he would just be one that I'd go. He could do something monstrous.
I know we spent way too much time on quarterback.
Yeah.
But the biggest thing and the biggest question, maybe the only question we have with Baker and the Browns, is if the offensive line can hold up.
Okay, I got you.
Don't you agree?
I get you. I have faith in their O-line, though. I still think.
Really?
Yeah, I do. I think there's enough talent there, and I think that's.
To me, left tackle, right tackle, and then replacing Kevin Zeitler at guard could all be questions that by week 6 they could be answered. By week 6 they could be a major sticking point in holding the offense back.
Yeah, I think they knew what they were doing there. Yeah. I do. I think they have enough depth there and enough good players.
You're going to camp there next week.
Yeah, I'll be there
What's
Monday.
your biggest question offensively?
The biggest question offensively? Really, I don't know if I have a question about them. It's really, I just want to see how it's kind of formulated. Yeah. I want to get a feel for what's the mantra? Are we going to be really balanced? Are we going to rely a little more on the run game, just a hair, so the play action pass is a little bit more of a viable option? I'm kind of just interested to see how they mix these weapons together more than anything, because there's a lot of guys to get the ball to. All right, so wait, who's the number one fantasy guy overall? Just like, who's the
I think this
number one?
transitions us over to the running back position. If we can
Okay,
do
it goes
that,
right there. Let's do it.
because there are so few workhorse feature running backs in the NFL right
Yes.
now. And to me, 1 through 4, Saquon Barkley at 1, Ezekiel Elliott at 2, Christian McCaffrey at 3, Alvin Kamara at 4. Those are our rankings.
Right.
You can make an easy claim for any of those 4 to be the pick at 1 or the pick at number 4.
And I'm just going to run through for the people who can't
ahead.
see what's up there. From 5 on down, it's David Johnson, Melvin Gordon, Le'Veon Bell, Joe Mixon, Todd Gurley, and James Conner at 10.
And the reason why these are all ranked up here is it's easy. 250 plus touches in a season.
Right.
And that's just becoming more and more rare in the NFL. To answer your question, to me it's Ezekiel Elliott. And I know that there's still
You
this
take him
contract
over. Yeah,
brewing, but there's so much potential just for his raw rushing totals to
Yeah.
go up, touchdown totals, I should say, because as a rookie, he rushed for 15 touchdowns. In his second year, in just 10 games, it was 7 touchdowns.
Right.
Last year, in 15 games, just 6 touchdowns.
Right.
We know last year he had a major expanded role in the passing game, 77
right?
receptions.
Yeah. I know.
And so that is new. That's not going to go away. He is keeping that. And so if he just scores 3, 4, 5 more rushing touchdowns as well, that vaults him to the number 1 spot.
Yeah, right. I get that. He's that's where I don't think a lot of people, and even myself, you know, when I've gone back to just look at the Cowboys and the stats, how big of a role he played in the past game, and that's why he can't go back and go practice and play for them for free right now.
Yeah.
He is too big of a part of it. So you would go with him over Saquon in your own world. That's what you would do.
When in doubt, go with the player that's on a good
The better
football
team.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because, and I know Saquon's style is he has the ability for 9 straight runs to pick up 2-3 yards or negative yards, but then he can break that 63-yarder to the house for a touchdown. And so no matter what, he can succeed on bad teams. But yeah, I just know that Ezekiel Elliott is the foundation of that team. He's the identity of the team, and he's running behind a fantastic offensive line because, again, what is sticky year to year is yards blocked for you by the offensive line. You know, good players, good running backs can create yards on their own.
Exactly.
But guess what? What if we block 7 yards for you each and every week?
Right.
Each and every run.
Right.
I'm not going to say that's 7 yards, but 3 yards for Ezekiel Elliott just easily makes that up.
Yeah.
Because the running back position is so deep, like I'm looking at number 5, David Johnson, who, if he's healthy, will put up incredible numbers.
I hear you.
So for my draft, should I look at wide receiver and maybe even a tight end, get those out of the way first, and then come back to running back? Because the 5th best running back, if it's David Johnson.
So, Paul, what if I told you that when we get to running back 8 with Joe Mixon, he's going to be gone by probably the 2nd pick of the 2nd round?
Is that right?
So there's going to be 6 running backs selected in the 1st round, and the next 3 will be gone at the top of the 2nd round. You're going to mix in a wide receiver, maybe even a tight end. We can get to that in a little bit. But these players go super early. You know, you kind of have to look down the list if you want someone with 200 and 250 touches that you don't have to take inside the top 2 rounds.
Where's Derrick Henry going to go? That was one I thought we might see in the top 10 here.
We have him as running back 16.
16.
Derrick Henry has just been a
All over
sore
the place.
subject for fantasy players in
Why?
the past. Well, because, you know, you hear...
Not enough touches.
And in the past, it's, okay, who's going to get the touches? Derrick Henry or Deion Lewis?
Right.
Derrick Henry or someone else?
Yeah.
And we've talked about this plenty, that the Titans offense did not have an identity until the final 5 or 6 weeks of last season,
No doubt.
when it was give Derrick Henry the ball 20-plus times.
Right.
Are we sure with I know the offensive coordinator is used to the team, but he's going to do the exact same thing from the start, plus offensive line questions with suspensions and whatever else, injuries as well. Derrick Henry is someone that I don't think belongs in this top group at all.
You don't?
No.
Yeah.
Who does belong in the top 10 that if it was your list solely, you would have him in there?
I'm going to throw one name
I
out
wanna hear
just
it.
while you look. Philip Lindsay would be one guy I'd say watch out for a value there. I mean, Rich Scangarello, who comes from the Shanahan-McVay world, right? They're going to run the ball. Mike Munchak is there.
That's right.
He's one of the best O-line coaches in all of football, right there with Dante Scarnecchia. So I just look at those 2 things, and then the talent of the player.
Yeah.
That would be one guy. Again, I don't know where he gets drafted or where it is, but I could see him having a better year statistically than a James Conner or
we have him as running back 22 right now.
Running 22. Okay.
And he is someone that we totally agree with you.
Yeah.
Like he's an awesome talent. Came out of nowhere last year, had a great preseason, but we didn't think he was going to be anything as a rookie because they drafted Royce Freeman in the second or the third round last year.
Right.
Royce Freeman's still there.
Yeah.
And really what we try to do is read the tea leaves of what's going on during preseason and practices, training camp, and it seems like they are adamant that they want to split those reps 50-50. I think Phillip Lindsay's a better football player than Royce Freeman, but I'm a little fearful of that. I want to bring up two names, and one of them I really want to get your input on. First is Chris Carson. I mean, he was top 5 in rushing yards last season, top 5 in yards after contact. The team might lead the NFL in carries once again.
I was just going to ask you about him, so go ahead,
and I understand that Rashad Penny is there. They spent a first-round pick on him. One, I think Chris Carson's a better football player. And two, there are touches that are leaving that backfield. 146 in Mike Davis. Right now, Chris Carson is going around running back 20, running back 22. And to me, again, there's so much changeover in the NFL from year to year in terms of offensive play calling and identity. The Seahawks haven't changed at all.
No, not at all.
They're just going to run the damn football and allow Chris Carson to eat after contact, and that's really what Pete Carroll loves in his back.
Yeah, but you're scared because I think Rashad Penny's going to split it. They'll probably split it right down the middle. I am bullish on Rashad Penny.
Okay.
I do. I liked him coming out in the draft. I think he can be a stud. We'll see. He's yet to prove it. I like Chris Carson a lot. I'm not trying to take anything away from him, but yeah, I mean, that's what I guess you have to balance out. You got to look at some of these players and then go, who else is around them? Do they use the running back by committee, approach? And that's what's scary because I look at even a guy like Sony Michel and I would go, hey, the Patriots, like we talked about with the Saints, they're a run team now, but gosh, in a given week they could change their game plan and James White's the guy that's in there for 50 snaps of the game, and that's what's scary.
And if it was easy, if it was clear of what Sony Michel was at the end of last season versus what he is now after missing all of OTAs, looking healthy in practice, but then they go and spend a third-round pick on Damian Harris. Like last year, he would have been a top 10, top 12 running back at the end of the season because he's honestly in that touchdown scoring role for the Patriots. Now we have no idea how much they're going to...
You don't know.
Yeah, totally. I do want to bring this up because this is a John Gruden connection. And it's Josh Jacobs.
Bye.
And to me, when we look back at the 10 years with John Gruden on the Bucs, a long time ago, but his lead running back averaged 266 touches. And a lot of that was obviously in the passing game as well. We talked about the top, and within the top 10, we like those players because they're getting 250 touches no matter what. Josh Jacobs is going somewhere around running back 20, running back 22, and he'll most likely get 250 touches. And the only one he's competing with is Jalen Richard in the passing game, who actually led the team in receptions last year with 63.
They had Cadillac Williams as a rookie do really well, right?
Yes, we ran his ass into the ground. I mean, it was Cadillac left, Cadillac right, Cadillac left, John Gruden's not afraid to run the football. You know, he gets a lot of notoriety because of his passing and all that, all passing game. But he believes in pounding the rock. I mean, that's one of the great things about John is he doesn't really necessarily care about the yards given. He's all about we're going to continue to run it attempts-wise no matter what because he's going to keep you off the pass game. He wants to let the offensive line fire out and run the ball. But I'm glad you brought him up. That is a steal to me.
Interesting.
Because he is going to be Alvin Kamara for the Oakland Raiders.
Wow.
That's why he was drafted.
Praise.
That's why he was drafted.
Even though he didn't have a lot of passing production in college, you watched the Auburn game, and
you
he's
could see it's natural. It's natural. I know. I saw, I think, 8 catches. And I was like, I'm not worried about it. Doesn't matter. It looked very easy. His ability to run routes looked really good. So I just, will he be able to do it at the NFL level? I think he'll still be able to run and catch a ball. Yes, I do.
That's a new character.
Thank you. It was. I don't know who that was.
Is that his fantasy football voice?
I don't know.
No,
it's new.
Well, it's just sort of those people like,
he's evolving.
He ran fast in college. Can he run fast in the NFL? No.
I like this guy.
Yeah, it's called dumb fan voice, okay?
Should we move over to wide receiver?
I would like to, yes.
Let's do that.
So wide receiver is a lot like running back in that you'll see 4 or 5 selected in the first round. We have DeAndre Hopkins at number 1 because it honestly doesn't matter who he has around him, who's throwing him the football, he's going to produce.
No, it's almost the fact that the nobody's around him is better for him.
He's the man.
He's the man.
It kind of might surprise you that ahead of people like Julio Jones, Odell Beckham, who we have at 5. We have Devontae Adams at number 2, and it's because last year he was, depending on the format, the wide receiver 1 or wide receiver 2. and then you add in a healthy Aaron Rodgers, hopefully a play calling system that he more gels with. It just makes total sense there with Davante Adams.
It makes both of those two guys are so far and away the go-to guys to their offense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think either one are as talented as number 4, 5, or 8. Or 7 on the list. I don't, but it doesn't matter because they're going to get a lot of opportunities on a week-to-week basis.
Paul, the two I'm deathly afraid of, well, I'll say one.
Right.
But the two that change teams in that top 5 are Odell Beckham, I should say top 10, and then Antonio Brown at number 8.
Right.
Odell's a positive because he goes from a quarterback last year on 20-plus yard throws, was 40th in the NFL.
Right.
Okay? Now he's going to one who was top 5 in the NFL. So all of those highlights that you see of passes being underthrown, no, they're going to be out in front of him. He's going to score some touchdowns.
No doubt.
On the other hand, Antonio Brown is severely going down in terms of his situation.
Just people aren't sure what's going to happen or what?
I'm deathly afraid of him going to an offense that last year that couldn't support Amari Cooper.
Yeah.
I'm deathly afraid of him going to an offense with Derek Carr, who, in situations where things go outside of structure, he wants to check it down to Jared Cook and Jalen Richard.
Sure.
I'm also afraid of John Gruden not understanding it's the year 2019. I'm also afraid that Antonio Brown made so much of his big plays and his production on broken plays.
Yeah.
That's where Big Ben shines. I'm not sure that's where Derek Carr shines.
Those are very valid points. You're right. I'll say this just from the reality standpoint of being around John Gruden more than any other quarterback he's had in his tenure is he will be obsessive with Antonio Brown.
Okay.
Like, I will say that. Now, we'll see if it works, and some of the things you've said are very real questions. So, we need to see it to have them answered. But I just know, man, when we got Joey Galloway, man. I mean, I was worried. I was worried that we weren't going to make it through training camp because I was like, man, Joey's going to blow a gasket. He's going to pull a hamstring. Know what he did? Pulled a groin. Because he was obsessed. Oh, my, he's so fast. It was post route. It was go route. It was slant route. Go route. Post route.
This is good to know.
He is going to do everything to get Antonio Brown.
Brown's in more of a history of production than
no
Joey
doubt.
Galloway
I mean,
had.
he's going to go down. And Gruden gets off. I mean, hey, I'm saying this jokingly, but like a little bit like, I mean, Gruden gets off on his offense getting off. I mean, he gets off. I mean, there was the games. This is not really true, but I really felt like there was times when I was playing quarterback for him.
Yeah.
That if we won 17-14, he was more unhappy than if we had lost 38-35 in a shootout.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Paul, to your point, though, Antonio Brown has been the wide receiver 1 of the last 3 seasons. So getting him possibly here as wide receiver 8, if he's going to get fed, that's a major value.
What do you think of Odell Beckham at 5? I know you hinted a little bit that he's going to a better situation.
Oh, I love it.
Do you think he's overrated at 5, underrated?
No. It's just going to drastically decrease everyone else on that team. Like Jarvis Landry, was used vertically for some reason last year because they really had no vertical threat for a while. Jarvis Landry is going to go in the tank compared to his previous season. A lot of people are excited about David Njoku or whoever else on that roster. The 3 that I want, and I think stacking in season-long leagues, going with the same team approach rather than kind of diversifying your portfolio, sorry to use all these nerd words, is Baker Mayfield, Odell Beckham, and Nick Chubb.
Nick Chubb, right.
And then you go and win your championship.
Yeah, I know, because Nick Chubb's a stud. And
an absolute stud.
And that's what I liked about when Freddie Kitchens took over last year is he made it a little bit more of a focus on we're going to run, I'm going to do some power football, and it opened up some of the big plays we saw from Baker Mayfield. That's what I was talking about, like where I'm excited to see what they do at training camp.
Who would you have number 1 wide receiver?
I think we have it right. DeAndre Hopkins, Devontae Adams, but you really can't go wrong with Michael Thomas as well.
Yeah.
You can't go wrong with these are all really, really good players. 6 is interesting with Juju Smith-Schuster.
Yeah.
Because really for the first time outside of 3 games, he's playing without Antonio Brown.
Right.
And to me, when I'm watching the Steelers, I hope they don't ask Juju to do too much. I know he can be an improving player, but he made his home in the slot.
Yeah.
That's who he is. Now, in 3 games without Antonio, I should say he caught 6 passes for 75 yards and a touchdown, 9 passes for 143 yards and a touchdown, and 5 passes, 37 yards and a touchdown. I wouldn't be surprised just because of the uneasiness, the uncertainty at the wide receiver position that they have with James Washington and Dante Moncrief and Deontay Johnson. If Juju doesn't get 200 targets this season, they lead the league in targets just because they know what
they're
have.
going to throw it a lot. They got to be throwing to somebody.
There's no doubt about this. And Big Ben is the kind of quarterback. It's funny we even said this because my dad brought this up on the podcast on Tuesday. Big Ben's the type of quarterback, and he did this with Antonio Brown. We've seen it. He just doesn't care if you're double covered sometimes.
Right.
He'll just go, but you're Juju Smith-Schuster, and I'm Big Ben, and we'll just make it happen. A little bit like I've seen Brady with Gronkowski. Just gets such a rapport, and they're so talented and good that Oh, you're double covered? It doesn't matter. I've thrown to him covered in practice all the time, and we still complete it. And I'm with you. I think there's going to be a lot of opportunities for Juju.
I have to ask Chris about Dante Pettis,
Yeah.
who I think I'm leaving every single fantasy draft with this year. Really the number one wide receiver for the 49ers. Over the last 4 weeks of last season, he averaged 18 fantasy points per game.
Yeah.
I know you might know Kyle Shanahan just a little bit.
Yeah.
What does Mr. Kyle Shanahan think of Dante Pettis?
Well, we don't get into those conversations. I can tell you that he thinks really highly of him as far as just when he came out in the draft. And I can tell you some of the things that I know that what Kyle likes just because of my history of knowing Kyle, what he looks at the wide receiver position. Yeah, I mean, Pettis can do everything. He won't have a specific role in that offense, like where Marquise Goodwin is the down the field guy, right? And, George Kittle's going to kind of work the middle of the field and the intermediate routes. Like Dante can do it all.
Yeah.
He can be the intricate little, really good short route runner. But he has got enough speed to win down the field if need be. And then he catches the ball over the middle, and he's a great route runner and all those things. So I would expect that he gets a number of opportunities this year.
And what that tells me, if he can do a little bit of everything, he's not coming off the field.
No, I don't think so either. I think he's the one guy that, like I said, is not going to be specific. He's going to be like, hey, we can move you around and feel comfortable with everything you do.
Is 100 catches crazy?
Ooh.
Is 1,000 yards crazy?
I mean, I don't know. I won't know if I necessarily think. I think 100 catches might be crazy.
But 1,000 yards is achievable.
1,000 yards might be achievable.
Nice.
Yeah, that is possible.
Talking about the 49ers passing game, I think it's a good
we got to
the
go
tight
there.
end position
All
because
right.
there might be a former Iowa Hawkeye high up on this list.
And
Pick it up and
I'm shocked he's actually.
Very high.
I'm actually shocked he's second.
Really?
Well, I wasn't sure
Instead of
where it
third.
would be. I wasn't sure. I mean, I knew it was one of those two.
So we have Travis Kelce 1, George Kittle 2, Zach Ertz 3, Evan Ingram 4, and Hunter Henry at 5.
And I think it's best to kind of put this in perspective a little bit. I think it's absolutely possible Travis Kelce should be your first-round pick at tight end if you're picking around pick 10, pick 11, pick 12 in the first round. And it's because not necessarily you're getting tight end 1 week each and every week, but you're getting a top 5, top 6 scorer. And again, at the top, we talked about how the difference in quarterback is about 50 points from quarterback 1 to quarterback 6. It's about 150 points.
wow.
About half the number of points for the season compared to tight end 1 to tight end 6. And we know nothing has changed for Travis Kelce. I do think, we were expecting a little more targets and volume based on the Tyreek Hill suspension. That's not happening.
Yeah.
But Travis Kelce, to me, makes a lot of sense. And then coming back, George Kittle, Zach Ertz will be selected somewhere in round 2 and round 3. And we just appreciate George Kittle just a little bit more because Zach Ertz last year just had a career year.
right.
I mean, 44 more targets than he ever had in the past, 38 more receptions than he ever had in the past, and just with the additions of Deshaun Jackson and the running game and more health along that team, I don't think he's going to be force-fed as much as he was last year.
I would think that too. I was going to actually even bring up that point with Travis Kelce with the Sammy Watkins aspect of it, who was, dealing with injuries all year last year too, where it would worry me a little bit with Travis Kelce that Sammy Watkins maybe eats into some of his catches.
Do we think Sammy Watkins is good at football still?
Oh, I mean, he certainly was overpaid. I mean, I've said that. I've said it when they signed him. I mean, he got an Odell Beckham Jr. type contract, and he certainly did not deserve that.
Right.
So, but nonetheless, yeah, when he is healthy, he's got some talent, and I would think they want to justify that contract to make it happen. All right, 2 that jump out to me.
For sure.
Okay, at the tight end. To me, just looking at the top 10 where I'd go, okay, these guys I know are all good in the top 10, but the 2 at 7 and 8, I could see being maybe 3 or 4, or maybe even the 2
Because
conversation.
Jared Cook at 7 and Vance McDonald at 8.
I mean, Jared Cook with the New Orleans Saints, we're talking about, I mean, again, like Josh McDaniels, Sean Payton's as good as anybody we've seen in the history of the football, getting tight end the football. So I would go watch out for him.
And he told you in your interview with him that they're expanding the playbook a lot more this year with tight end because of Jared Cook compared to the previous years.
Exactly right.
When were you with Jared Cook?
That's gonna
He's
happen.
with Sean Payton at the golf tournament.
He's talked about it, right?
Gotcha.
And yes, they haven't had that guy since Jimmy Graham left town. So and added to the fact, this is where Michael Thomas and Jared Cook are great for the team. Drew Brees is not making a living throwing 20-yard out routes and comebacks and things like that. He's going to work the middle of the field, and they fit that, and Payton will do that. And Vance McDonald, because we talked about the Steelers, I think he could very well be target number 2 behind Juju Smith-Schuster.
Totally.
Where they got 20 plays in the playbook every week for Juju Smith-Schuster where they're getting the ball.
Right.
And the next guy on the importance level there would be Vance McDonald. Those are just 2 guys that jump out to me.
I would even put Jared Cook, thinking about the Saints, even higher than 7 because in any given game, if you're a defensive coordinator, who are you worried about the most? Probably Alvin Kamara.
Yep.
Or maybe Michael Thomas. The point is, no one's really that worried about the tight end because he's going to be the 3rd best option. And Drew Brees, if he's good at anything right now, it's recognizing what they're doing.
No doubt.
I hear you.
And if the 3rd best defensive player or pass defender is on the tight end, that's an awfully good matchup.
So let me talk about the cliffs here a little bit because after Ertz and Kittle, that's around pick 25. Then there's kind of a period where no one's selecting tight ends until about pick number 60, and you have that cluster of O.J. Howard, Hunter Henry, and Evan Ingram. They're kind of these young, developing, possibly ascending tight ends.
Right. A lot of
And after
potential.
that, you have at pick 75 to pick 95, you have anyone from Eric Ebron to Jared Cook to David Njoku to Vance McDonald. I am totally with you on Vance McDonald. We have him ranked much higher than his ADP right now where he's being drafted.
Okay.
He's being drafted around tight end 10. We have him as tight end 8, I believe.
Right.
And it's because of the 204 targets that are on the table
Yeah.
without Antonio Brown.
Yeah, right.
It's also because, and Jesse James is not very good at football,
Yeah.
but he also played more than 50% of the Steelers snaps last year. I think only a handful of games Vance McDonald played over 50% of the snaps
Right.
last year for the Steelers. We'll probably see that closer to 75. 80% this
Yeah,
year.
yeah.
So just the opportunity and the volume that goes up. He can be this year's George Kittle, a guy that you take in round 8, 9, 10, that then vaults up to tight end 3, 4, 5 as the season goes along.
Okay. All right. This is all right. So, I mean, this is great stuff. I want to, and this is not your rankings. This is Rotoworld, which
Sure.
I know you're a part of the accumulating these rankings and everything. But I want you to be anti-company guy here, okay? Anti-Rotoworld. Anti the people that make your check, okay?
It can be larger. The check can be larger.
Out of the positions we talked about, right? What is one where you just totally disagreed with your company and we're just like, we're wrong on that one?
I have voiced this too, and nothing has changed.
Right.
So that,
or give me
again,
2 or
shows you
3
that.
then. Go ahead, whatever.
We have Kenny Galladay as wide receiver 19.
Ooh, yeah.
Again, maybe odds-on favorite to be the wide receiver 1 for the Lions, but in many ways, Paul, I want to just completely avoid certain teams in fantasy football because I think that they can be shit.
Right.
And I think the Lions can be crap.
Did you just say shit?
I did, excuse me.
Holy shit.
Proud of him.
He said shit.
But I don't want any exposure to anyone on the Lions. Like, I really like Kerryon Johnson.
Yeah.
He's going a little bit earlier than I would take him.
Okay.
I like Kenny Galladay as a player.
Yeah.
He's going a little bit earlier, and it's because they are trying to have a Patriot-style offense, a Patriot-style team,
Yeah.
without having Tom Brady at the
Yeah,
forefront.
right.
And instead, they're trying to make
Makes it hard.
someone who sprays footballs around the field and wants to test vertically in Matthew Stafford.
No, and they don't have Josh McDaniels and Bill Belichick to design the offense either. So, yeah, I hear you. That's a scary one. As soon as you said the name, I said, ooh. And 19 does seem high.
And really, prior to the 2018 season, this is a team that could have gone into the year with Eric Ebron, Golden Tate, Marvin Jones, and Kenny Galladay.
Right.
Instead, by midway this year, they might just have Kenny Galladay on the roster.
It's pretty underwhelming.
And
definitely.
that shows you what they want to be in the identity of their team, and that's just run the football with C.J. Anderson and Kerryon Johnson.
All right, anybody else that jumps out to you there to put you on the spot? I want one more that you're just like, you're a little down on, and then I want your diamond in the rough.
Yeah.
All right,
I want somebody in the top 10 here. I don't want someone in the teens. Someone in the top 10 that you would not touch.
Running back, 6 through 10. 6 through 9. They all have questions. Melvin Gordon is running back 6.
No doubt.
Le'Veon Bell is running back 7.
Yeah.
Joe Mixon is running back 8. Todd Gurley as running back 9. Again, with Melvin, he might hold out. He might not play this year.
Yeah.
That's going to significantly change based on, the tea leaves and what's coming, the information coming out. Le'Veon Bell is playing with Adam Gase. Adam Gase, who set an NFL record, basically, for a low number of plays in a season last year. I know he might play 70, 80% of the snaps, but I don't want him to only be on the field for 700 snaps in a season.
Gotcha.
Like, that is terrible. That's
an
worrisome.
interesting perspective there.
Joe Mixon, again, someone that might be on the field 70 to 80% of the time, but this is Zach Taylor, who, simplified, wants to implement someone of the Rams did, and the personnel can kind of be good.
Yeah.
But the biggest change for the Rams when they really exploded was their offensive line.
Yes.
The Bengals have a crap offensive line.
And the injuries already. I mean, Russell Bodine retired unexpectedly, and Jonah Williams has got pectoral surgery? What the hell did he hurt? Elbow, pec, whatever it is.
Labrum.
Yeah, there's issues there.
Upper
I
body.
hear you. What?
Upper body injury.
Upper body injury.
And then to conclude with Todd Gurley, again, player who was held out of OTAs. Last year was the running back one and was fantastic. But then they matched the offer sheet for Malcolm Brown. Then they spend and trade up a pick to select Darrell Henderson, who they called Lance Dunbar, but I think we can expect a little bit more from there.
I agree.
So rather than going from 80% of the touches, and even last season as the season went along, C.J. Anderson was a better player because he was healthy. Now you might see 60, 65% of the snaps for Todd Gurley, and then have those 35% split between Malcolm Brown and Darrell Henderson.
All right.
Did you do anything else this summer besides think about that?
I went to France, Paul.
You did?
I went to Provence.
What part?
I was in Saint-Remy.
Okay.
When? It was great.
When were you there?
Before you. I was in early June.
I was going to say,
I'm still drinking the wine from there.
Seeing a familiar face. Very well priced over there, too.
Oh, my gosh.
Did you ship it back?
Oh, I brought it in my suitcase.
Did you say ship or shit? Okay.
I'm not like Josh.
All right.
I went with P on
It took 3 podcasts, and I got this guy to swear. That's all I know.
I
it was
hope
a
your
victory.
parents are not.
Now he's got to put an E next to all his podcasts.
Guys, it's a lot of fun. Thanks for having me.
Hey, come on. You're the man. You're doing a
it.
great job at Rotoworld. Also, I want to show the Rotoworld Fantasy Football Guide for 2019.
Yes.
Hold that up. That's
we also
really
have a
cool.
digital version as well.
Right. But check out Josh, Rotoworld Football Podcast. There's the draft guide, and Josh does a lot of great work throughout the season, and I'm sure we'll be seeing you
Thanks,
again.
guys.
Good to
as
see you,
always.
Josh.
Yeah,
Always
you're
is.
hanging out. Just stay here to the end, okay?
Yeah.
I mean, we're done.
You're not leaving yet.
We're closing this up. I can't take Paul anymore. I've had enough, and I don't want to hear any more France conversations. All right, so we're done. We're out of here.
You're coming next year.
Yep. All right. One other podcast, and this is cool.
Yeah.
The Two Robbies podcast. The Two Robbies, hey, over the pond.
I've heard about this.
But
Soccer.
Premier League is back next week. Okay. The
Aston Villa.
Aston Villa. How are they
We
supposed
heard.
to do this year?
Well, they just got promoted. So,
We don't care.
They just got promoted?
Yes, relegation promotion.
Yes.
So they just want to stay up. Like 17th place.
Right.
Great.
You were relegated, and now
appreciate
you're
it.
back in the California Penal League here, or no, you're
Something
back in
like
the
that.
real league again?
Sorry
you were
for
in the
interrupting you.
California Penal League. But either way, the Two Robbies podcast with Robbie Mustoe and Robbie Earl, that's back. Preview the season. And yes, you are a big Aston Villa fan, so it's good that you'll be able to watch them on TV and won't have to go to some obscure internet channel anymore.
Listen to them on
watch
radio.
that.
I have done that in the past.
But do that. The Two Robbies podcast, they'll teach you everything that's going on in the soccer world. And that's it for us. Like I said, pay attention to Peter King on the road, the training camp tour, the Peter King podcast, always awesome. And I'll be doing a podcast from the road next week. Not sure if I'm going to do it from Cleveland or Pittsburgh, but going to be doing it. So check in to see some of the training camp stuff, hoping to get some pretty cool interviews once again. So we'll see how it goes. But for Josh, you the man.
Good to see
Paulie
you.
B,
Good to be back.
nice to, good to have you back. I'm Simms. We're out. Peace. Yo, what's up? Come on, man. Subscribe on YouTube to Chris Simms Unbuttoned Podcast. I need you. Please hit the subscribe button, please.